Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another recent reads for you. I've done the same thing again where after I finished the 5th book I didn't have a lot of time for filming, so I've actually managed to read another 5 books since finishing the 5th book, so I'm splitting it into 2 videos again. So I'm going to talk about 5 videos today that I finished between the 11th of July and the 23rd of July. So at time of filming, that is just over a week ago. I'm filming this on the 2nd of August. Who knows how soon you'll see it because I'm so behind with editing my videos. So you will see it at some point fairly soon, hopefully. But please just bear with until I get back into more of a routine, which will probably be now after I've moved at the beginning of September. So please just bear with for now. I'm going to talk about these 5 books. Say books in the loosest sense of the term. If you've already seen my July reading wrap up, as you probably have, one of the books I'm talking about today doesn't really count, but it's listed as a book on Goodreads, so I'm counting it. Anywho, so the first book I finished in that period was The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I was buddy reading this with some lovely booktubers and we all really enjoyed it. I talked about this a bit in my July wrap up, but I will talk about it a little bit again now because I really loved it, so I just want to keep sharing the love really. This book follows Nari, she's grown up on the streets of Cairo. She's had to make her own way. She's an orphan. She doesn't know anything about her family history. All she knows is that she has some slightly weird abilities. For example, she heals really quickly and she can sense illness in other people and sometimes can heal them as well, and she can also understand any language on hearing it. She one day accidentally summons a jinn, then gets attacked by loads of ifrits and then has to run for her life, and so the jinn takes her to Davabad, which is the city of the jinn, and explains to her like a bit more about who she is and where she's come from, and the story sort of unravels from there. She gets caught up in a load of court politics. She has to try and understand all the different jinn or deva clans and families and how they all link to each other and how their powers all differ, and she's got to try and find her way in this world. It was so good. It was quite slow paced to start with, but once I got into it, really picked up. I loved the relationship between Nari and Dara. I can't wait to see how that develops. The other perspective character, Ali, I didn't like him to start with, but he really grew on me as the novel went on. I found it a little bit annoying in the first half of the book, but as the plot developed and you could see how conflicted he was and how he was being pulled in different directions, I really like how his character developed, and I'm really intrigued to see what happens in the next book. So I'm reading the next book in August and buddy reading it again with the same people, so really looking forward to carrying on with this series. And I gave City of Brass 5 stars because I loved it. So the next book that I finished was The Last Beginning by Lauren James. This is the 2nd book in the Next Together duology. There are also a number of novellas in the series and also a short story, which is technically the 3rd book that I finished, but wasn't really a book but was listed on Goodreads, so that was called Galloway, so I'm just going to mention that very quickly now. The 1st book in the series, The Next Together, follows 2 characters, Matthew and Catherine. They exist in multiple timelines throughout history, and in each timeline they meet and they fall in love, and then one of them dies in quite tragic circumstances and then they move on. So Galloway is a short story featuring those 2 characters in a different timeline that hasn't appeared in either book. That is accessible if you sign up to Lauren James's newsletter. You get sent the link to this short story. That was the 3rd book that I finished after I read this one, which I gave 4 stars to just because I really love those characters. So this book I gave this 5 stars. I really loved this. This was a great conclusion to the duology. This is set 16 years after the events of the 1st book and follows Clove Sutcliffe, who don't know how to explain it without giving spoilers. So she finds out at the start of the book that she was adopted by her uncle, so her father's brother, and she doesn't know what happened to her real parents, so this book is about her trying to figure out what happened to them. Her adoptive parents they're scientists and they're working on a time machine, so she finds out some information about her parents and then she tries to figure out what happened to them by going back in time to try and find them. So this was really fun because it had loads of great time travel tropes, including accidentally almost making yourself not exist, which is always fun. It also had one of my favourite sci-fi tropes, which is a sassy AI called Spart, and he was was just really, really fun. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the story. Lauren James's world building is so exquisite, and I loved the way that this book interplayed with the first book. Because Clover's a time traveller, then she revisits lots of things that happened in the first book, and it kind of gives more context and more explanation to what happened in the first book, which is always really satisfying. I really, really loved this book. I really love Lauren James as an author. She is one of my favourite authors now. This was the 4th book of hers that I'd read, and 5th book actually of hers that I've read, and I just really have loved everything that she's written. She's an auto-buy author for me now. I need to buy my own copies of this series. I have the 2 novellas as ebooks. I think they were only released as ebooks, but I'm looking forward to reading them soon as well. And yeah, she's going to feature again in a moment, so we will fangirl a little bit more about her soon. The next book that I finished was Paradoxology by Krish Kandaya. My lights don't like this cover, so it doesn't show up very well. This is a Christian non-fiction book about some of the apparent paradoxes in Christian faith and in the Bible, and trying to balance those out and understand them and come to terms with them as paradoxes. Krish Kandaya looks at a lot of the difficult concepts in Christianity, the things that people argue against or find hard to get their heads around, and tries to find a balanced way through the middle of them. He doesn't give any easy answers, which is something I really enjoyed. He really engages with some of these debates, and I found that really encouraging. I took my time over this. It took me about 2 months to read it, really, just under 2 months I think, because I really wanted to sift through and like weigh up the different things, the different arguments he was making, the different things he was talking about, and I'm really glad I did. It was really worthwhile doing that and taking my time over it. If you're unsure about aspects of Christianity that you don't understand or that you find contradictory, this book may have some answers for you. Or if you are a believer like myself and just want to go a bit more into depth into some of the issues that maybe don't get talked about very much, then this is a book that I think you will find really enjoyable and really, really helpful. So the final book that I'm going to talk about is a bit more of a book than Galloway was. It was another Lauren James ebook, which again it is available online. So this was an unauthorized fan treatise which she wrote as a series of blog posts. The character writing it is called Margot or Gotti, and she has a theory about 2 of the actors in her favourite TV show who are called Rob Hennings and Nathan O'Donnell, and she has a theory that they are actually dating, but then it's being kept secret by the network that produces their show. This book starts out as a series of blog posts to try and uncover their relationship, but there are clues throughout that actually something more sinister is going on. There's a murder mystery element to this book as well. So as she goes through her theories about the lives and relationships of these 2 characters, certain elements of the mystery start to uncover, and it develops from there. It was really cleverly written and cleverly put together. It's really fun to read it as a series of blog posts, so I will put the link for it down in the description box so you can go and find it if you would like to. It was really, really fun. I think Lauren James is hoping to publish it as a traditional book at some point, but if you're a big fan of her like I am, then be sure to go and read it. The TV show that it's based on is a made-up one called Loch and Ness, but that is a TV show that is mentioned in several of her other books, so kind of have this headcanon, I guess, that all of her books exist in the same universe because of things like that link them. Yeah, so I really love that as a concept, that all of these different books that she writes kind of must exist in the same universe. And I would really love her to actually write some of the Loch and Ness books, like within the world the TV series is based on a book series, and I would really love to see her actually write those books. They're paranormal detective fiction, so that would be really, really fun if they were real books as well. So Lauren James, if you ever happen to see this, then we would love to read some Loch and Ness, please. I think that's all I've got to say. This has ended up being a really short video because some of the books I'm talking about were super duper short. I realised that I have neglected to give any content warnings in this video, but what I will do is I'll link to my Instagram where I give mini reviews of all of the books that I read, and I've listed the content warnings there. I'm also going to link, for each book I will link to the Book Trigger Warnings website, so if the book is on that website I will put a link in so that you can find the content warnings for those books that I've mentioned, so that will be in the description box for you. But let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. What are some books that you've been reading recently? Please do have a chat to me down in the comments about some of your favourite authors and some of your favourite books. You can also like this video if you liked it, and please subscribe if you haven't already. already, and you can also click the notification bell if you'd like to be notified every time I upload. You can also follow me on all my social media, so I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram, and I'm also on Goodreads, so that information will be listed in the description box for you. But that's it for today, so thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!